Hey everybody, I kind of stuffed up there for about 3 or 4 minutes. I thought I was talking to you all, but I remembered that even after you go live on your software, you have to actually tell YouTube, okay, now we're ready to go live, and then it goes, okay. So, last couple of minutes, you haven't had any information. Basically, this has a automatic repair loop going on, which typically will mean that it's got a failing hard drive. It's not fully failed, but it's certainly getting there. Hey Jason, Ben, I'm trying not to think about that launch. I'm not sure I can handle watching it live, to be honest. I feel like I have to just, yeah, wait till it's a done deed. Well, that is weird. The other holes, yep, they fit, but that one will not. Ah, no, I found my hot glue one. Hey Stuart Menzies, yes, I've been working very hard, particularly out in the yard. In fact, I haven't been doing a huge amount of IT work. It's all mostly been pulling up fences, chainsawing trees, shifting dirt. Yeah, just lots and lots of stuff like that. I don't need to pay for things like CrossFit or anything like that. I can just go out and do work in the yard. It's even better than CrossFit. Not a fan of these cases. They got second screws on the inners. Not that one. Yes, indeed, it's a HP. Okay, not that one. I basically have to check every single... Ah, there we go, yeah. Should have known the hinge area would have dual screws, but then again, to be fair, it wouldn't be the first time that a business has decided, you know what, we don't need people's screen hinges to actually stay together. Hey Oliver, I'm Ed, Midlife Lab. So we'll get the drive out of this, put it into the diagnostics machine and see what we come up with. The diagnostics machine will just duplicate the drive anyway. Am I missing something? No. There we go. More force required. We're either correctly opening it or we're not, and we're just breaking the little latches, but either way it gets opened. Hey Gabriel. And they have this stupid thing, something going on in the middle, and you can never find it. It's some sort of latch in there, and you sort of have to like wiggle your way through it. Okay. You sort of got to like push it back, twist it around. It's something gets on one. Oh, there it is. There, that's it. There. Got any time to fix the charging issue on your Dell? Sort of no on that at the moment. I need to get the power brick for that. I keep meaning to. You need to remind me tomorrow morning. Okay, so we've got a puffed up battery. We do have spinning rust. Fantastic. So we'll take the puffed up battery out first. So this is going to be a twofer. So the person's going to have to be charged for an SSD, and then they're going to have to be charged for a battery. And then it's going to be worth probably twice as much as what a replacement laptop would cost. Yeah, that middle one's really picking up a bit there. Alright, okay, thanks Jason. Yeah, sorry, normally I have most adapters for laptops. For some reason that one I don't have. I don't know why. I guess because I sort of started getting into the mindset of I really don't want to deal with PC laptops too much. Okay. So there's really no point checking anything else because the machine is trying to function. So load it up. Make sure it's latched. Yep. Goes into the loading system. Okay, latched in. See, we've got 1.4 terabytes left. 1731. So fortunately, okay, so it's a 1 terabyte drive, it's got a whole bunch of partitions on it, so we've got the right thing. Let's have a look. I'm kind of curious to see where the errors pop up. So yeah, 110 megabyte. Here we go. It's already started. There, see how it took a dive there? Fortunately, it's still reading, so that's a thankful thing. Too many times these arrive and it's just too late. A juxtapose, a Rockefeller. Usually if you can get past the first 100 gigs on most people's machines, you've got most of what they're looking for. Yeah, see how it's sort of like sagging a little bit on those areas. They're not failing yet, but they are retrying. Anyway, we'll let that go and do its thing. I just realized I did not do this as a screen session, so I'll just have to quit that. Okay. Okay, we'll do that again. Nice thing is, because we already ran with a log, when we stop and restart it, you'll see it already picks up where it was before. So you don't have to start all the way at the beginning again. Yeah, so now that that is running in a screen session. Yeah, I can't believe they put shingle recording on such a small physical drive. I mean, I've got SMR drives for other things, but yeah, just for mass write storage and things like that. But I'm surprised they do it on the small one like that, especially considering this is a read. The 8TB drive I've got right now is not an SMR, at least. Anyway, we'll detach from that screen session, we'll detach from the actual server, and now we go back to the next job. PD Rescue is a very nice piece of equipment, yeah, piece of software. Certainly I've sent it quite a bit of money, saved me a lot of money, or earned me a lot of money, I should rather say. And I'm a little bit biased because, yeah, there's bits of my own work in there. Alright, next job. Let's see, what's the chainsaw doing here? Oh yeah, I had to replace the chain on my electric chainsaw. Apparently with these tiny little ones, these are like micro chains or whatever. This is for a 12-inch Stihl C120 electric chainsaw. Apparently it's just cheaper to replace the chain than it is to try and sharpen it or get someone to sharpen it. This one's nice and blunt. It burns well, but it doesn't cut so well. I mean, that was 45 bucks from the local shop. I'm pretty sure I can get them for under $30, so I might order a couple of them for $30. I gotta say though, this chainsaw is a brilliant piece of equipment. I could charge it today and I just shredded through about 5 trees, including, you know, limbing them and cutting them up and all that sort of stuff. I had no dramas, whatever. You know, trees up to about 6-inch diameter sort of thing, around about that sort of size. If you go much bigger than 6-inch diameter, you do start pushing up against the limit of what the chainsaw can eat through, particularly once the weight of the tree starts coming down a little bit on the cutting plane. Not when it's actually tilting and pinching, but, you know, when you're just trying to clear through the first parts. Anyway, it's a great chainsaw, very much recommend them. I've had petrol ones in the past, 2-stroke and all that. I'm never going back to those after working with that one. Alright, so what was I... Oh god, the pain. Oh yeah, I've got an iPhone 7 I've got to fix. This one's just a screen swap. Jay, if you're in Australia, then I do have my repair form. It depends what you want repaired, because, you know, I don't tend to repair everything. I'm a little bit selective on what I go for, simply because I'm busy to the point where if I start taking on jobs that I can't do efficiently, then I make it worse for everybody. Okay, so this is an iPhone 7. Right, I can't switch this one off. I tried and I ended up slashing my finger. So we're just going to have to do this semi-alive. That's okay, it's not a problem. This one's been sitting in a drawer for a long time. brand of chainsaw was used in the Burbs movie. Oh, really? Well, still is pretty much like the de facto brand you go for if you're picking up yard equipment like that. Definitely for chainsaws. I was going to get the chainsaw for the existing battery set that I have, which is I've got a 82 volt setup. But the chainsaw they had, it was a colossal size bar they had on it, and it was just like, I just don't want a bar that big. I really only need a 12, 13 inch bar. And I could obviously swap the bar and, downsize the chain and all that sort of stuff, but I really didn't want to have to mess around with it. So I went all out, paid the price and got the steel unit, complete with battery and charge and all that sort of stuff. But it's really, really good. Like if you only use a chainsaw a couple of times a year, or maybe even just once a month, it's the sort of thing you want. If you've got smallish stuff, if you're trying to bring down a tree with a 2-foot trunk or something like that, then yeah, either you do it get someone in to do that, something that size. I can almost guarantee you will end badly if you try doing it yourself. I mean, a bigger chainsaw could be useful, but it was just not realistic for the demands that I have. Like I said, most of the stuff I chop down is barely, 6-inch diameter, maybe 200 millimeter. What is it, 8-inch? But yeah, almost never anything bigger than that. Most of it's just trimming limbs off trees. Oh, hey, sweetie. Oh, nice. Okay. I'll just take the gloves off because they're contaminated. Okay, got prickle or something. You've got an incoming Milo. Hey, Mo. I'll have to get Milo. Oh, it's Loki. Come here, you feral creature. Oh, God, you're so fat. Let me just... This is... Hey, Loki, say hello. Yeah. Loki is Milo's brother, and he's also a jerk. But he's a very cuddly, sweet, loving jerk. But he's a jerk. Alright, you guys are going to have to put up with me having my smoothie. So good. It's a blueberry smoothie. It's got all manner of things in it. Some things I know about, some things I do not know about. I let my wife make them. She probably put some sort of witch's brew in there too. Yeah, the Wera screwdrivers are really good. The only screwdriver I use a lot that's not a Wera is the Weha. And this one is for the pentalobes on the bottom of the MacBooks. For some reason, Wera doesn't produce one of that size. Wera produces one for the iPhones, but not for the MacBooks. Basically, this thing's got yogurt, honey, blueberries, whey powder, goodness knows what else. Probably things I don't want to know about. Juxtaposed? Yes, it is. Night time, it's around about 10:15 at the moment. It's one of those drinks that, sometimes you just feel nutrient deprived, whether you really are or not, it's irrelevant, but you have that feeling of being depleted. These are really good for that. Yes, my wife is an absolute legend. When it came down choosing between Wera and Weha, I went with the Wera ones because I like the profile of the drive. I preferred that profile. I found the Weha too narrow at the tip. So it just really came down to personal preference. Hey, Villa. Tom, fortunately it's warm. They are frozen berries, they're Australian berries. We used to get organic berries, but the trouble is the organic berries came from random places in the world. And I decided that I would rather put my trust in non-organic Australian berries than organic foreign berries. I think they taste better too. It's not really that. It's sort of like a. It's halfway between a milkshake and a thick shake. I mean, a proper thick shake. The sort of thick shake where you spend the first 5 minutes trying to even get the thick shake up the straw. That kind of thick shake. Not the ones they. You go to many places, you order a thick shake, and it's sort of like a slightly thick milkshake. A real thick shake is kind of just like just melted ice cream. That's how a real thick shake should be. That's why it is by name. Hey there, Keith McDermott. Anyway, so yeah, given a choice between organic versus domestic, I'd take domestic first. Depending on the product too. You know, some products I wouldn't trust even domestically. Because let's face it, even though farmers are a bit of a sacred cow, you're not allowed to say bad things about them. They are humans, and there's no shortage of, just like any business, there's no shortage of people in business who will do things to save or make $1 extra. But there is a bit of a sacred cow status with farmers, and I think that's a little bit dangerous. I think they need to be accountable just like everybody else. There's some really dodgy farming practices that go on. Tradie, yeah, we can't grow anything in our yard because we're hopeless. We have good intent. We try, we start. Every now and then we'll get a good batch of something. Like one year we grew some lettuce that was absolutely fantastic. We tried to grow more, and thereafter it always just was bitter and nasty. So it was a bad case of beginner's luck. Yeah, but the first batch was just, it was lettuce that you tasted like what you expect lettuce to taste like. But yeah, thereafter it was always just really bitter. And we tried to, sort out the watering schedule and all that sort of stuff. We planted in the same place. We did what we thought was the same thing, but it was a dud. Okay, so we just got the 7. We're just going to swap the screen because that's all that's wrong with it. So I think we tried 3 or 4 subsequent batches with the lettuce. And then we tried different varieties. We just couldn't get it right again. Hydroponic garden. That is definitely something on my mind because we also like to have fish pond. And normally if you sort of mix the two together, you can get a pretty good outcome. Okay, we need some hot air here so that we don't ruin the touch button. First we have to separate them. Okay. We certainly have the room here. And we've definitely got sunshine here. We've got no problem with sunshine. We've got too much, actually. That is often the problem. Okay, more heat. Okay, take care. I'll see you on... Oh, god damn it, why don't you people tell me? You're missing out on all the stuff. You don't want to see me, you want to see this. Oh, I see, Tom did. Yep, And so did Balachanda. This is why I rarely actually switch to Facecam, because I forget about it. Yeah, I just sort of run along thinking that everything is overhead. Facecam, along with schematic, should be part of the quad assembly view only. And that way at least you'll still be able to see everything, but just at half the resolution. But at least you'll get to see everything. Hey Jim. Yeah, Jim, that one sort of fell through, I think, but they're trying it again. Like if they use the HVDC links, interlinks over into Indonesia and areas like that, it could theoretically work. The losses aren't too bad on HVDC. Certainly, yeah, they're quite tolerable losses. I mean, China's doing HVDC interlinks across their country at the moment. Mostly because with China, the areas where they can generate power is usually up in the northwest, but where they want it is down in the southeast or the east. So they have these massive HVDC interconnects, and yeah, they're working pretty good. And that's not the superconducting ones. I mean, the superconducting ones you can only... I think they've only got a 10 or 20 kilometer link currently in operation anywhere in the world. God damn it, I hate these pre-installed backplates because they never do them right. They run the cable up too high, and then when you install it into the case, it pushes out funny. And the trouble is, once they're set like that, it's pretty hard to get them to shift back down. Alright. Oh no, is Mr. Rossman in here? Let me see ya. Anyway, my body's aching like hell due to my week of very intense workout. Like, it started off with obviously lifting out all the posts, which took quite a bit more effort and a bit more money than I wanted. I was actually getting to the point where I was starting to feel distressed by the fact that I could not find a working technique for getting these posts out. And in the end I did find one, and I was very relieved because I think I got 4 posts out in 2 evenings, and that was just like, I'm not going to make my deadline at this rate. And that was even after I had bought the high lift jack to get them out. And I had to think about it as I tried to go to sleep that night. And then I ended up getting a sling the next day, and the sling also didn't work. It would, offset the forces too much. So I ended up the combination where I used the bolt through the post plus the sling, and the bolt was a 250 or 220 millimeter long 12 mil bolt, and then I'd have the sling on either side of it. And then with that combination and yanking on the post a bit, eventually made it all come out. So it's a bit frustrating when you can't work out a technique really quickly. Okay. God damn it, fell for it again. Damn it. This is 0416. This should have, what do you call it? This should have True Tone data, I think, because it is an original. Most of the iPhone 7s I encounter do not have True Tone data, because most of the time we didn't have these sort of tools when the iPhone 7 first sort of came to market. Not that it really seems to have been a detriment to anyone, but at least now I can transfer it. Homemade explosives. That would get me a lot of attention in the wrong kind of way. The battery still looks good. Damn it. I mean to. Oh well. And after this one, we have a infrared camera that I want to try something else on. The owner bought themselves a replacement screen for it, but unfortunately it's just the screen itself, it's not the whole frame. And when I tried to remove the frame, separate the frame and the screen from the original, I cannot get it to come apart. It's, I don't know, it's like they used Loctite green or something on it. Like, I've heated up to 80 degrees, I've added alcohol to it, I've tried all sorts of things, and it does not yield at all. So I don't know what glue they've used in it, but like I said, it feels like akin to, wow, damn, okay, that's lively, thank you. That gets me up in the morning real quick. The iPhone 7 Plus I had before was a lot softer on the speaker output, and then I got this 11, and wasn't quite ready for just how loud that thing is. Alright, so the problem with the 7s and the 8s typically is that the flexes will push out. You clamp the screen down and it pinches the cable and everybody's unhappy. So you got to coerce it and close it before it changes its mind. Xena is going well. She's still shy. For flip's sake, they're all at the point now where they're absolutely crazy running around. They found their energy, they found their legs, now they're discovering the world. At least as much as they can in 2 little rooms. Hey, Frixit Pro. Okay, looks like we've got an Apple logo. Did I miss someone chatting in here? Come on. A little bit slow on the boot. Alright, it's all good. Excellent. Have you one happy customer? Happy customer for reasons I cannot detail. There's the pin. Alright, let's go have a look at this other camera that I cannot split the display on. Yeah, I know you will, Jason, but you may end up being one of ours. So you sort of indirectly kind of get to see how she goes. I got this all upside down. I should have put the screen on. Alright, so this is a Blackview, I think it's a BL8800. But I cannot get the screen to separate from the frame. And if you look at the screen, there's not much to it. You got 4mm, 3mm, 4mm, and that's it. So they've got one hell of a glue holding it down. And there's not really a lot of access where you can sort of come in from the underside, you know, with a shim and try and get it to separate away. Like a magnesium sort of spine in it with a plastic core, plastic surround. Yeah, so I think the easiest thing is to find another frame mounted one, but I'm kind of tempted to try and find out if there is a way to get this to split apart. But it's almost like I'm having to deal with, you know, when you've got, say, iPhones and you've got to change the back of them. It's probably a bit like that. 18W. Oh. So I'm going to try and see if I can chip out a corner or something. I'm genuinely worried I'm going to have glass just shattering everywhere. Jason, I have heated this up to 80 Celsius and then I've used the hot air gun on it and it doesn't budge. It just does not budge. So the only thing I can think of is it needs like 120 or something like that, but it doesn't want to move. Hey there, Harold. If I can get it to chip out on this sort of area here, I'm more worried about the plastic deforming. So that's the other problem, is that when I add the heat, the plastic's going to take a beating. Hey Jim, I've been really bad. I've been going through my room and I realise there's so much stuff of yours that I haven't sent back to you. Good expensive stuff, so I've got to write the delivery docket for it tonight. It's distressing me how bad I've been. Yes. Okay, they're actually using, it is tape. Yeah, Yeah, this is going to be bloody messy. Now that I've got an access point, I might be able to IPA it. As I was using IPA last night, it wasn't doing anything, but now that I've got an access, I might actually get somewhere. It's still going to be slow and painful. Sounds like my life. God damn it, just bent the two. Fix it, I'll give that a go as well. For the record, I don't normally use tape at all, but this is just going to be stupidly messy. Not a great big... Yeah, so I just don't normally have to utilize tape. You know, with iPads or anything like that. Usually I get through it without too much mess. But this one, it's an unknown, so... Yeah. Yeah, flip-flop. Yeah. I'm walking around in, yeah, just good old... Hello. I've been wearing shoes all day. and they are like full of dirt and grass, wood chips from the chainsaw. Just, yeah, it's very irritating. And unfortunately, in spite of the fact that as a kid I was pretty much always outdoors, when I lived in the north I was always outdoors, in spite of all that, I still get struck down by hay fever, and that's extremely insulting to me. So when I finish my job, take my shoes off, I go have a shower, just, get everything off my skin, and then, Fire phone, funnily enough, no, it's not a Telstra phone, but it's not too dissimilar either in its construction. I've kind of noticed that, because it's comparable to the Telstra T84 Tough Max. Yeah, it's like an extended version of that. As soon as I started pulling it apart, it really did just feel like a stretched out T84. Yeah, no steel cap boots. Ah, man. I used to hate wearing steel cap boots, especially when you're not really a job regular out on the mine sites. You just infrequently go out there. And so every time you go out, you find you have to get yourself a new set of steel cap boots. And as always, you end up with the stupid T boots. Those damn T boots. And they were just nasty to wear. You'd end up with more blisters on your feet than you would on your hands from the day's work. Hey, Catherine. Okay, it doesn't look like the LCD is actually bonded to anything here, which is nice, because I was worried about the fact that, okay, well, we got the glass off, but now we've got to get the LCD off. Just going to quickly check something. Alright, all good. Okay, so what I'm going to try and do is I've got the blade under the display, and I'm going to see if I can't move it forward with IPA and some heat. Now this is where the tape is a problem, because the tape will obviously tend to melt from the heat. We'll just have to see how we go. Not to mention the fact that it also stops the heat getting into the phone. What is it with nerds getting knocked down? Business girls been a rough start. Oh, with COVID. Oh yeah, I did see she's got long COVID, hasn't she? Hey Tom George. Well, I need to get myself a new set of boots anyway, because the walking shoes, holy shit, I nearly just dismembered my finger again. This is why I don't work out in the real world, folks. I can't be trusted. It's okay if I work on these little things, but I'm not ready for the real world. That said, I survived the chainsaw work today. Fire phone, it's some random jazz that plays in the background. That tape is kind of melting away a little bit. Come on, lift up. It's kind of like safety glass, kind of. Get that wedge under there. If you're wondering, these phones actually have a infrared camera in them as well, which is why they're quite popular. This one's for an electrician, so yeah, he's found it very useful to be able to just go up to whatever malfunctioning switchboard or whatever, spot the hotspots. Artfix. Have you seen Gamers Nexus new soldering heat mode? No, I have not. I don't tend to watch much of that stuff. Yeah, when it comes to YouTube, I tend to watch things that are not in my industry too much. Well, the house is, yeah. Tomorrow, hopefully the fence will get started, because I just spent the week clearing the area for the fence. I took down so many trees. I'm sure any of you who have got chainsaws can understand this, that once you get started chainsawing something, it's actually a little bit difficult to stop chainsawing things. You just look around and you're like, what else can I apply this mighty tool to? And your partner sits back and watches in horror, and then you have to explain why 5 years of growth have vanished. And then after the fence, we have got the roof of half the house to be changed over, and we're very much looking forward to that, because we've had previous work done on the house, and unfortunately the roof let us down and leaked rainwater, funnily enough, into the new areas, and subsequently we basically have to do them again. Okay, this is getting to the point where I should be able to kind of treat it like an iPad and just heat it up and have it let go. Particularly if the chainsaw is a well-behaving, sharp chainsaw, you go, ooh, that limb looks like that could cause trouble. That tree looks like it can cause trouble. That zombie looks like he can cause trouble. Ach, niemand. Die Kraak. Alright, we're free. That's what my toes say when I take the shoes off. Because the next problem we're going to encounter is naturally, of course, trying to bond down the new one with the equal level of commitment. It's a good thing I didn't try to go through under this heat spreader here, because that would not have actually given us any access. I probably should put in the description the details of this phone, just in case anyone else is out there looking to if it's doable, how to do it. Personally, I prefer if you can get these already framed up. You can buy them pre-framed. You can buy them from AliExpress, and they're just the same price as the display alone. They do have a couple of sales where they're saying they're originals. I don't know how original they are. There's a few bits of glass that don't want to come out. It's pretty good. There's a little bit of deforming there where we applied the extreme amount of heat in order to get that first break. I think depending on how the screen has broken, it may or may not be possible to avoid that. Now, new screen with the frame is like $30. So yeah, it's like I'd definitely take the frame choice if I have one. I really need to test to see that this even works before I put it down. I need to put some more paper down. So yeah, I mean, if you can find a framed version, it's vastly more economical to do it that way, time-wise. Cracky. The battery removal on this was not pleasant, I will say that much. It has this nice little, this battery can be removed by pulling at it. It's an extremely unpleasant process going through to get that done. Believe me, you don't really want to have to do it. And reattaching these flexes is also a pain. They've got the touch and the, well, they've got, yeah, it's a pain, okay? It's hard to guarantee that you're actually getting them in. And then there's this flippin' antenna cable that snakes on the underside. I don't know how they do these efficiently, really. It looks like we've actually got a third one that needs clipping from the underside. I don't know, I suppose when they make them in the factory, all of these flexes are already lifted up. They're not bonded down like they are now. So that would tend to make it a bit easier for if you can get it in the construction initial process. Okay. Oh god, I'm gonna really ruin Lament if I do not tape this down. I'm just going to put a little bit of tape on there just to hold the edge. It's not so much the data on this one, it's just, well, I mean, imagine the data is important, but rather it's just a case of the inconvenience of, you know, it's a phone that they want to use. It's not entirely broken, it's just one screen. Okay, that is not sitting down properly. There's a whole bunch of flexes that... Yeah. The joys of doing a different phone for the first time. Not only different in terms of, you know, it's a new model, but different in terms of the fact that this is an Android phone from another maker, and, you know, so it's nothing like an iPhone that I would be used to. I'm going to see if I can power it up without any of the other stuff. Let me first find out where the on-off button is. I think that's it there. Yep. Is it a ZT? No, this one's not. It's a... What is these? A Blackview? Yeah, I'm just going to put this off the screen for a second because I don't want you guys seeing stuff. Maybe that's not the on-off button. I'm pretty sure that... Oh, we've got 3 on the side here. Okay. Okay, try the bottom one. Alright, we have a display. Okay, there's no pass lock on it, thank God. So now I'm just going to power it off. Fancy. Right, I'm not going to put it back together tonight because there's a lot of parts in there that are probably... I'll have to look at the video of my disassembly and then play it in reverse basically. But I'm happy that we're actually able to separate that. I sort of figured it was worth a shot given that I'm either going to have to get a whole... Well, I'm have to get a whole framed unit anyway if I can't succeed, so there's no harm if I damaged it. Sometimes it's convenient when you have that situation presented to you where it's like, well, you know, what's the worst that's going to happen? You're still not going to be able to use it, so you may as well proceed with a little less caution and break it open. I actually don't put passcodes on my devices. I find it a genuine inconvenience to put a passcode on my devices. Alright. I mean, obviously things like my bank accounts and all that sort of stuff, that has passcodes. And as it is, you can't access them without that passcode, even if you've got access to the phone. I mean, yeah, I'm playing life a little risky, I do agree. But I hate having to unlock my phone. I'm lazy, alright. Especially, yeah, I could use it so much that Face ID does help a little bit, but even that you got to wait for. Like if I'm say 3 o'clock in the morning and some message comes through, I've got to make sure I bring the phone up into my face so that it goes, "Oh, it's you, Paul," and unlocks it, rather than me just like bringing it up and going, "Oh, what is it?" You know, just show me the message. All right, that's those bits done. Let's go check the data recovery and see what's happening. So, oh my goodness, can't. No, actually I don't even need that on these ones anyway. This actually should be a name rather than an IP, but anyway. So where are we? Interesting. We haven't actually encountered any failed sectors, and we've definitely got to the end of the user's data for the most part. You know, we can see we've stabilized at 117 megabyte a second. We're essentially just shipping zeros, and I will let this continue to the end just as a precaution, because it is using a GPT table, so therefore there is going to be data at the end of the drive. Now if I'm really in a rush, I can stop the rescue process and then just capture the last 10 gigs of the drive, and then I can image that onto a new one, and all the bits in between where I stop and where I resume at the 10 before the end will just be zeroed. But I'm just going to let this go through, so I do have a 100% copy of the existing drive, and this one I will shrink down probably to a 500, because I suspect that they haven't used more than a couple of hundred. If they've used more than, say, 300 gigs of their space, then I will get them a 1 terabyte drive. But most people, I would say they've got maybe 100, 150 gigs of used space, and they'll be fine to migrate to a 500 gig. I really can't stand to use fingerprints. Anyway, detach out of that screen and exit. And we can get building on another USB-C meter. Oh, speaking of which, you guys haven't actually seen the outcome of it. So, yeah, here we go. This is what we had. Tradie's like run off now. He's all upset because I didn't get to this sooner. Oh, here he is. Yeah. So yeah, we put a bit of clear plastic. This stuff, this is what we used to use for battery packs. Again, this is like 15 plus years old, but it still does the job. So I shrink wrapped it. So we're going to build another one of those, because I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, now of course this board does have that defect that we know about with the trace running through the ground pin. Yeah, you came back at the right time, Tradie. I thought you ran off in disgust, thinking, ugh, Paul's never going to do this stuff that he promised us. You're a liar, Mr. Daniels. Dirty, filthy, rotten liar. But no, we'll get this built. We'll get this built. Obviously, we're going to have to mod the board like we did the previous one. That's no problem. This is why we don't do our own manufacturing. We get someone else to do the dirty work, because there's no fun in doing this at all. Prototyping is fun. Manufacturing is not. When I say manufacturing is not fun, I mean manufacturing the fact of like, okay, I've got 10 boards, I have to go along and populate them all, solder them all, that sort of stuff, as opposed to running a manufacturing plant, which would be something different again. Wait, what? Who are you? Oh, you're the resonators. Okay, jolly good. Harold, do you do everything yourself manually? Or do you get someone with a pick and place machine to do it for you? Tony, no, the shrink wrap won't do anything for the USB-C connectors. The only reason the shrink wrap is there is to just stop the... Yeah, that's not going to be... Oh, whatever. It'll just stop the LCD panel getting chafed up too soon. I actually think I forgot to peel off the peel-off on that LCD panel. So that would actually excite Caradog from Adamant IT, because he doesn't believe in peeling. Yeah, Harold, I salute you for that, because I never enjoyed. Well, the first couple of times I did it, for the first couple of hundred devices, I was like, yeah, this is good. I get my orders in the morning. I wake up, it's like, okay, I've got 6 or 7 to do whatever. But after a while, it got to me, and people would send orders in with like 20 regulator devices or whatever, and it'd be a real struggle for me to sit down and do them. And I would have it all, well organized. I had my pick and place pen, vacuum pen, and my vision was perfectly good, and all the boards were on, they weren't, they were break off configurations. So, you had your 5x3 or whatever. And I'd go through that, and I had my reflow oven and everything, but it drove me mad. That was me personally. So yeah, I salute you for your endurance. Oh, flip's sake. Well, Harold, I'll have to believe you on that one. I never got to finding that relaxation sort of thing. Yeah, maybe some people do, maybe some people don't. Yeah, maybe it's a personal sort of thing is what I'm saying. And I just never could quite get there. I found the longer I sat there, the more I got frustrated. But it could also have been, state of life type situation. Like everything was a rush. I was like in my early 30s to late 30s at the time. And so like you're desperately trying to make money, and you got a bunch of fires. Like when I say fires, I'm talking like, a bunch of other things you got to deal with outside of work. And so if it took longer to get a job done, it meant that, there's going to be more anger outside. Things like that. So I suspect maybe if you're in a life situation that's a little more conducive towards being able to sit back and relax and do these things, it might be alright. It just wasn't for me at that time anyway. Now, let's see, I need a lot of stuff. Now, what have we got here? Regulator, right? I generally find it easier to just get most of the parts out beforehand, particularly the non-discrete stuff. Yeah, this is... well, certainly if you can do things like get everything on the one side and everything of the same orientation, stuff like that. All those little bits and pieces help. Let's see, microcontrollers. Right, my 212s. Where the hell did God damn it. I thought I put my 212s back into the microcontroller box, but it seems I might not have. That's going to make me mad. I've naturally put them in a safe place. Okay, now they're my 3v3. Alright. These are 15-year-old displays. They still work. Running low on them. But interesting that you can still buy them. They're probably all still from the same original manufacturing. On the top of these there is a film that you can peel off, but I just always forget to peel it off. Yeah, I need my 212s wherever they are, somewhere. Okay, 50 ohm resistors, 4K 7s. Some caps I need. essential LEDs. Still no 212s. Where did you put them, you idiot? Programmer. Ah, here they are. Hey Teresa, what's driving your anxiety tonight? Or is it just life in general, as it often is for all of us? Okay, there's our 212. I need to make more LED lights too. I have more faith in them doing the USB-C boards than I do the LED lights. The big concern I have with the LED light is the fact that they will substitute the resistor values. Not the resistor value, what am I talking about? They will substitute the LEDs. And the big factor that makes the LED lamp as good as I want it to be is the choice of the LED. But I know they go, oh yeah, we couldn't get that one exactly, so we got this one that's identical. And it's like, no, it's really not. And they go, yes, it really is. Look, we've even got the paper, the data sheet to show. And it's like, no, it really isn't, because if you look at it in real life, it's not. And so that can lead to a few angry voices. We need that for the 219. I've decided I'm actually going to go and get the INA 237. The INA 238 that I wanted to get, that was a 0.1% precision unit. But realistically, for the work we're doing, the 237, which is a 0.3%, is perfectly fine. Anything within 1% is fine for what we're doing here. And they're available. So I may as well just get the 237s. Because they're, you know, I can get them, I can fit them on there, and they will do the job. Alright, let's get started. Let's try a bit more zoom in. I'll try and keep it in this limited range here. Yeah, I can't decide whether I want glasses or not. Hey, Stefan. Stefan, I just sort of, it's more a case of I haven't really got around to being sufficiently happy with the outcome of everything. I think I'm good with the USB-C meter now, and I'm good with the LED light thing, but the next problem is the manufacturing side of it. Yes, thank you very much, being loud and beepy. Yeah, I'm just smushing random bits of, I don't know what I'm doing. Sometimes you just got to get started. Yeah, I'm going to use microscope for this. And we better turn on the extractor. Okay, maximum brightness. I'm just going around and pre-tinning the pads with a bit of blob of solder. It doesn't matter that it's really shonky or not. It really doesn't, because it all comes out in the, you know, when you finish, when you reflow it all, it comes together nicely. And of course I'll wash it, so that helps. Altogether, I'm putting way too much solder on these pads as a general rule. I'm trying to put a little bit on, but I think what's going on here is that my hands are a little bit shaky from today's labor. It takes a while for me to get them to settle back down. Yeah, my whole body has been aching all week, just in random various places depending on what work I did for the day. Okay, what chipper I got here? I think I got the CH43. This is the other thing. This is about the only thing with the USB-C meter that I kind of want to change, and that is to go to the smaller model of this chip with no resonator on it. But like I said, I'm compelled to use this version simply because of the fact that I've got 200 plus of them. But if I'm going to manufacture, then it doesn't matter what I've got personally in stock. The leg is in the correct level. Yeah, it's still not great, but anyway, it'll work. Too much caffeine? Not in this case. No, it's just like I said, laboring work. And the muscles are all like, what the hell happened, man? We're supposed to be fat and lazy, sitting on the couch, killing zombies. I don't know what size vias these are. I think they're 0.11 or 1/10 thou or something like that. I can't remember. Ach, nee, man. Too much solder on those legs, big time. Oh well. Jay, that is flux. Flux is basically just a sacrificial liquid that keeps oxidization away from the soldering while it's melting. If you don't use... most solder has flux built into it already, but not usually enough. Not at the tiny sizes that we're working, which sounds funny. You'd think tiny size chip shouldn't need so much flux, but sorry, tiny size. But yeah, you run out of flux and the joint doesn't flow very nicely. It looks ugly and it's probably electrically suspect. Like if you try to do that kind of quick flowing then without flux, it doesn't really work out. So like this side here, there's not much flux around. It's probably, it's making a liar out of me. Anyway, needs to say, without flux, life is quite a bit more difficult when it comes to this sort of work. Consider it sort of like lubricant for the solder, if you would. It's not strictly that, but just consider it as like lubricant. And of course when you get to the end of the job, you then have to actually remove the flux in most cases. Okay, look, you can get what we call no clean flux. I'm not a great believer of no clean flux, as in being 100% no clean. There are some no clean fluxes that I understand will actually provide a protective coating, but I feel like I would rather, particularly when it comes to hand soldering, because you can't control how long that flux was being heated for, by how much temperature, or any, there's too many variables in there that you can't control. I can understand in a machine reflow situation, but for hand rework, I'm a bit skeptical. Hey there, Arnold G. Yeah, liquid equivalent of inert gas while welding. That is actually a far more apt analogy, because it's actually not an analogy in that case. It's an analog it's a direct comparison. It is, we're making another USB-C meter. This one, we already know it works. We're just making another one because I know there's a couple of people who want them, even though that's got the dodgy board on it, because it's an easy patch. Some people will want them. Okay, what we're doing here is it was cheaper for me to buy these 219 chips on these boards than it was to get them separately. To be fair, these are not exactly brand new chips either. Yeah, so when I get the 237s, they'll make a nice difference. Yeah, Harold, I've just found that there's still been cases where even when you use no clean flux, there could be secondary contaminants on the board from other things, or you maybe heated it for too long. And I have had situations where, damn it, I'm about to choke up. Pardon me. I've had situations where corrosion develops due to the flux. So I just clean it out of principle now anyway. Yeah, Arnold G, that was the case. It can be therapeutic slightly, Tradie Trev, doing this sort of soldering. Actually, it will still get me aggro if I'm under the pump. If I know I've got to, oh man, I've got to get 10 of these out by the end of the day or something like that. It's like, something about the pressure, being paid for something already, and then being under the pump to get them delivered, it just doesn't work in my brain. I think a lot of people are like that. Once you get paid for a job or a product, if you've actually got to go and then make it or do it, it's very annoying to do that. It's like, I've already got the money, what else do I have to do? Yes, Tony, this is the same spin, so I will have to do the mod. Someone's mentioning me on... Whoops. So that's sort of about the amount of solder you want at the most. So you can get a bit of a concave fillet going on, but nothing more. Damn it. That there is probably excessive, for modern day manufacturing. They'll look at that and they'll go, geez, we could have used 1/3 of that solder. Definitely that is way too much solder. it doesn't present itself as a problem other than from a weight and money situation. Is the 297 cheaper or than the 4040? I don't know what the 4040 costs. I actually don't even know what the 4040 is. I'm guessing another sort of thing, but the 297 was a 39. Anyway, the one I'm looking at, I think it's about $4 per unit. In I think up to 25 units. So yeah, it's not the cheapest, but it's not the worst either. When you consider what the chips do, it's pretty amazing that you can get them at that price. Nah, too much solder again. Okay, now we've got the LED situation. Tradie, it's fun. It's definitely fun when, it's the first time or two. Yeah, because you got the excitement of like, oh, is this going to work or anything like that? Is it going to be a complete and utter disaster like it probably will be? But then after you've done it a few times, you're kind of like, yeah, I know what's going to happen here, or the excitement is gone. .4040 shunt voltage reference used everywhere in synths. Shunt voltage reference. I'll have to have a look at that. Yeah, we actually did that LED better than the previous one. Thank goodness for that. Yeah, Harold, that is true. The 1206s are very nice to have. I probably should just put a 1206. I think the thing I find difficult is actually getting a good supply of low output 1206s, because everybody just wants to hit you with the, like, look, this one's got 150 candelier output, and you're like, I really don't need it that bright. I just, want something that's around about 2 or 3 20 or 30 millicandelier. No, you gotta have at least 5 or 6 candles. I actually hate that with a lot of modern electronics, is this obsession with making pilot lights so damn bright. And worse, blue. It's a bright blue or bright white. That's not a pilot light. That's a frickin' searchlight. Oh, okay, the 4040 is a fancy Zen. Oh, okay, no. Yeah, that's not really something we would use here, because this is actually a voltage/current measuring unit. I wouldn't actually have a use for a 4040 in this sort of scenario. There are other projects that I have where I have things like buried Zener references and things like that. I'm surprised I actually haven't heard of the 4040 though. Let's see, what am I after here? I need some 100 nanos. I need some jelly beans. When it comes to references, was more looking at things like, what is it, the ADR 1000 or LTZ 1000, I think it was. I've got a box full of very high, well, I shouldn't say very high, medium high quality voltage references from microchip and linear. I'm kind of actually ashamed of myself for not making better use of them, because yeah, they're worth a fair bit, and I just never used them. Sort of, I stopped manufacturing the things that I was doing at around about the time I got my hands on them. I never threw them out, but at the same time I never used them. Yeah, that's true, I could just pump up the resistor value. Oh, that's a terrible... Okay, there's a insufficient flux join right there. And the reason why that happens with these ones is because I'm using a very big tip relative to the part. And so a lot of heat goes in very quickly and the flux subsequently runs off screaming. But the reason why I like to have the big tip there is precisely because I need to get hot fast and reflow the solder and then get out. It allows you to do nicer wicking jobs. Right, for this one here we need a 10 nanofarad. I actually don't know whether I could use a 100 nanofarad. It would make life a little easier just to only have to use 100. Where did that damn thing go? I swear I had one, and I swear I saw it fall onto the board. No, she's gone, mate. She's gone. Never dog the lads. Like what is that? That's a term I haven't heard. Dog the lads. It probably shows my lack of industry experience there. What next? You're going to make me run around and try and get a bucket of steam or something? Ooh, a bit of corrosion on that one. This is what happens when you start using 15-year-old parts. We need another Jelly Bean 100 nanofarad there. 100 nanofarad caps are the sort of thing you just throw everywhere. I would probably say a good 1/3 of the caps that they put on a lot of machinery and boards is just simply because the engineers are like, you know what, we can't be asked trying to work out every goddamn limit. So let's see, it seems to work all right at this level that we're at, so we'll just add another couple of dozen just to be sure. Will only become visible again once. Yeah, that's always the way it goes. Except this time I didn't find it, probably because I was anticipating that. Okay, let's use the wrong connector. Can of sparks. Oh, that's another good one. The cruel things that you get subjected to during your inauguration times on a job site. Some of them are no problem, good fun and harmless. Others go a bit far. Can we make one of your cats go woof woof? I hope not. I used to make a terrible joke about that as a kid. Very ashamed of that now. Oh yeah, gotta love a good wicking and reabsorption. Like when it pulls around, but then as it cools off, it gets drawn. Ah, I ruined it. Ruined it by touching it. I didn't mean to touch it. It was just I was pointing at it. Zip. Oh, that's sweet when it does that. Now I've got to go back and try and fix this. It'll never be as good. Close enough though. Now we've got to do all these legs. You notice I heat the pad more than I do the actual leg. Okay, it's good, it's good, it's good. Connector time. Yes, well, yeah, a lot of the time I actually have several blocks of that pine resin still, and I would, every now and then, when I was in a bit of a tight situation and I needed to make up some flux for my wire looms, I would break out the old pine tree, some glycerine, a bit of, I can't remember, I think I used ethanol, pine tree, sap, glycerine, ethanol, put it in a jar, and there's a couple of other little additives some people would add. I don't do that anymore. Hey Rodrigo. Yeah, Jim, I know what you're referring to. I know what you're referring to. Ah, for flip's sake, mate. Well, this is why I like to hot air these connectors down, because yeah, you run the... Oh, I forgot about the 4.7Ks that I've got to put there for the I2C pull-ups. Anyway, the reason why I like to hot air these down is because it's a bit tricky usually to get that solder down. There's not enough exposed pad behind where the legs sit, so you can't get the soldering tip onto it as nicely. So you end up either burning the plastic, or, you know. You should create like a hipster soldering class where you got to make your own flux. Well, you could make people make their own leaded solder too. That would work. Yeah, they can choose whether they want to go with 60-40 or more eutectic. Like this stuff that I use, it's what is it, 3763. Yeah, make people choose which way they want to go. Tradie, is there any reason you would do dodgy stuff? I mean, do you work for yourself? Sorry, you've probably answered this before, but do you work for yourself, or are you subcontracted from someone else? Or, oh look, there's that. Ah, fuck, that's my finger. I gotta stop using the soldering iron as a pointed thing. But anyway, there's that cap that we lost, and I now have a burn on my finger. Amazingly, the glove didn't show up, but you can just... No, don't press it again. Yeah, you can just see the burn mark there where the soldering iron touched it. And there'll be an equivalent burn on my fingertip. Idiot. What temperature do I use my... Hey there, Christian. Right then I was using... Yes. Geez, I can't remember now. I'll let you know when I pull the thing off. But it really just varies depending on how far away you hold it. Yeah, there's no real absolute consensus. What are we up to on this? I think it's 360 I was using. 350 and 40%. And I'm aiming more for this area here, not actually at the connector. Because it's really the traces I want to get hot, not the connector. Gary Hampson, the glycerol is used to just sort of keep its consistency a little smoother. If you don't put the glycerin in there, it does tend to sort of like dry out and behave funny. I just found it flowed better with glycerin. And again, it depends on what type of solder you're using and everything else. How hot your iron is. It's worth just trying, yeah. If you go onto Google and look around for soldering flux recipes, you should find quite a few of them. Just don't make plumber's flux, okay? Plumber's flux is really easy to make, but don't make it. It won't do your boards any good. Basically, all you need for plumber's flux is to get some hydrochloric acid, throw a bit of zinc in it, and there you go. And it is a really good flux in the sense of it will make many things solder that would not otherwise solder. But the downside is that it will also eat the circuit boards and the components a few weeks later. Doesn't matter how well you think you've washed that board, it will eat it. Ah, for flip's sake. Oh, Trader, yeah, I actually posted... You'll notice on a couple of my older videos, I did exactly that. And no one actually noticed, really. No one... Maybe they did, they just didn't mention it. Maybe they thought I was being stupid unintentionally. Okay, the board's getting sticky now. Yeah, that wasn't a very good one. It's okay. Is there such thing as a good USB-C soldering iron? I don't know, actually. I've never personally cared for even trying one. I'm more than happy with my gear, the Hacko gear. I mean, yeah, there's better gear, JVC and such. But I have no compelling reason to change either. I think people forget that there's a tremendous amount of investment in your equipment, in simply understanding how your equipment behaves. And you know, when you have to shift to a new piece of equipment, you have to decide, is it worth... are the gains that I'm going to receive worth the inconvenience that I'm going to experience over a period of time in order to be able to... how long is it going to take me to skill up to be as good as I am with this gear, with the new gear? And is it even worth it? Not that that's got anything to do with the USB-C meter. You could neutralize the acid with a weak base. I don't know how effective it would be as a flux then, because a big part of the reason why it works so well is because of the fact that it's so acidic. Oops, bit of a spaz there. I'm trying not to heat these connectors up too much when I do this. I'm kind of wondering maybe before, when I was fully flooding those legs, that it might have been deforming the connector slightly, which would lead to future failure. Certainly I found that with tactile push buttons. So basically I'm just getting enough solder down there so it grabs a leg, and that's the end of it. I don't know how effective that would be, Art, and you should try it, but in the past experiences I've found no matter how much you wash the boards, I mean, yeah, I suppose you could put it in some sort of alkaline solution, maybe a bit of bicarb or something like that. Okay, they're offset a bit nasty, but I'm not going to mess with them, but I will actually retouch them. There's the one in the middle there, looks like it's maybe sort of not quite connected enough, because they will, even though it is tacked down all around, they will be subjected to some physical stress. Oh, damn it, I gotta do these 4K7 resistors. See you, Harold. Oh yeah, I was going to say, oh, you got the shipping back, that's excellent. I was wondering if they would ever come back. Did they give out any explanation as to why they brought it back? Other than just sort of like, yeah, we just brought it back. I think the problem I have with a lot of these pine seal and whatever soldering irons is the ergonomics of the holding, the handles. I looked at a few of them, and just by look only, obviously I haven't had one in my hand, they just look like they're going to be a bit awkward. Then maybe it's just a case of being accustomed to it. Ideally, you want your fingertips to be pinching on the soldering iron as close as practical to the tip. And a lot of those irons I see, they've got the grip point way, way, way back. And it's hard to get the sort of dexterity that you need at that kind of distance. Oh, okay, you've actually tried it. You're a brave person, braver than me. Right, I'm going to just retouch these. I mean, these Hacko stations are now around about, if you can get them on special, they're around about $450, $500 in Australia. Damn it. Pulled some, damn it. They're definitely not cheap. They're not hideously expensive. You're not talking JBC expensive. I would say that they are more expensive than what they're actually worth, in my opinion. And, I'm just fire tracking that up. I would say $2.99 Australian, which is probably $199 US. I would say that would be a fair price for the Hakko FX951. So yeah, I feel like I don't know why, but they've kind of priced themselves out of the market a little bit, particularly with their hot air stations. Hot air stations are a disaster. C1 doesn't look right. We'll have to see about that. Oh, C1. No, it seems fine. It's just that because it's on the ground plane side there, it didn't fill it out as much. I put less solder on that side. A bit of solder went up onto the actual end cap. That's what probably is throwing you there. Ah, get on there. Got the Weller WSP80. I used to be a Weller person when I worked at Mr. Smith's Electronics here in Australia. I certainly took the opportunity to use the staff discount and get myself a bunch of Weller gear. But they were a little bit slow on the take, I think, when it came to the microelectronics side of things, intentionally or otherwise. So subsequently I ended up with all the Hakko gear instead. Alright, now I need a 50... I'm just going to check my shunts and see if I actually do have a... Because I found a strip of ones with 5 marked on them, but I don't know whether they're 50 or 500s. Hey, Nick Dacey. Let's see, 100 ohm, that's definitely not it. Now these are 5 milliohm, which I'm definitely not going to use. If I put 5 milliohm on here, my values would be 1/10 of... I could do it, but I would lose a lot of precision. Wow, mystery empty bag. Yep. 100 milliohm. I could stack 200 milliohms on top of each other, but again, not really what I want to do. What have we got here? 6 ohm 8, definitely not. $150, 4 ohm 7. Well, yeah, I've got 50. Yeah, let's give these a shot. This is a different kind of shunt. This is a much higher wattage shunt. It probably doesn't have the precision or the accuracy of the resistor type. Well, they're all resistors, but you know what I mean. And I don't know if I can even get this to fit. Anyway, this is 50 milliohm, and it's just looks like a staple. But the upside of these is that they will take a hell of a lot more heating. So the normal ones that we use, they're the 2512 size resistor. I think they're usually 2 watt rated, so ideally you probably don't want to put more than half a watt through them, otherwise you'll start experiencing non-linearity with the voltage drop across it. But these ones here, they can take a hell of a lot more heating before they start misbehaving or deviating. Now the downside is I'm pretty sure these are only 1%, whereas the other ones are, this is a 1% only. So 1%, but that would probably take 3 watts of heat. And here's a really fat version of a different one. So this is a 1 milliohm, and this is probably a 5. Yeah, this will be a 5 watt unit. Oh, 3.5 watt for that one. Okay, so the other ones must be 1 watt. Anyway, so they're the same thing in purpose, but just different implementation for different purposes. For different situations. Like I said, if you've got a lot of current flowing across that, you kind of need to dissipate it away so it doesn't influence the value that it's detecting or generating across here. I could put that on there. That's probably not a good idea because it will tend to get sort of knocked around a bit. So it means I'm going to have to steal a 50 milliohm from somewhere else. So I could double stack a 100. I sort of don't want to do that if I can avoid it. $100s are sort of like the de facto standard kind of thing for this sort of application. Well, we're gonna have to steal it. There we go, 050. Oh, this is one of the rare ones where I actually had the SOT238 chip rather than the SO8s. This was one of the first board versions I made, and I thought that there would be plenty of supply of these. I was wrong. And I thought I had a supply of about 50 of them, and I was wrong. So that board actually never went anywhere. Oh, that's seriously out of frickin' focus. Oh, that's massively out of focus. What is wrong with my eyeballs? Some of you may wonder why I have traces coming out from the inside of these pads. It's what is known as a Kelvin connection or a 4-wire connection. And it lets you accurately measure the voltage drop across a device that's carrying a high amount of current. And you may be thinking, well, that seems pretty silly, but it really does. To put it in a multimeter perspective, when you measure resistance, or say, trying to think now of a situation, a power supply. Power supply is actually a good example. When you set your power supply to say put 12 volts out, these sections here are kind of like the cables out of your power supply, and this here is the load that you're subjecting. What's going to happen is there's actually going to be a voltage drop across your cables coming out of the power supply. And so it will see 12 volts. It thinks it's generating, well, it is generating 12 volts at the power supply. But by the time it gets to here, it could be something like 11.6 volts because of the voltage drop across the feeding lines. So, yeah, when you're carrying high current across a line, it's not a good idea to also use that line as the measurement line. So what you do is you instead, if you want accuracy, you would then have two, they don't carry any real current, they're sense lines, and these would go back to the power supply, and the power supply would then use the measurement experienced across here to determine and adjust so that you get actually 12 volts across that resistor or the load. Anyway, it's called a 4-wire Kelvin connection, just Kelvin connection. And if you look at some multimeters, they use that for extremely low resistance testing. I think we're done. Other than programming, I think we're done. Yep. Oh yeah, well we've got to put the LCD panel on. Under normal resistance measurements, it doesn't really matter that much. Like anything sort of over 10 ohms, you're not going to notice the resistance of your leads impacting much, not unless you've got really long leads. But when you start wanting to measure down to nano ohms or certainly milliohms, you'll want a 4-wire connection or an extremely stable set of cables and a higher precision multimeter, like your 6.5 or 7.5 digit. But I only use a 4.5 digit multimeter. I have no compelling reason to use more. And if I do really want to measure some very low resistances, I can get either a meter with 4-wire measurement, or I've got my own low ohms meter which I built. It was supposed to be sold commercially, never got there, but it was a good learning experience. Let's dry this board off. So yeah, the Keithley DMM 6500, that is 6.5 digit. Yeah, that's the thing. For your everyday multimeter, you probably don't want to be pulling that thing out. Like I said, I'm very happy with the 4.5 digit GDM that I have. Oop. It's fast, it's practical. If it blows up, I mean, I'm not going to be happy about it blowing up, but at least it's not the end of the world. It's under $1,000, so all should be good. Right, we need to flash this, and this is going to be fun. Everybody groans when it comes to me programming, because they're like, oh god, how many mistakes is he going to make this time? How many bugs did he introduce that he forgot about? Have you done through-hole rework? Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of through-hole at all. And I mean, I grew up with through-hole, but I'm just not a fan of... Oh! Alright, you're all fired. You're all fired. You know why? Because you all forgot that we've got that mod we have to make. Can't believe you all forgot. Shame on you all. Ach, niemand backhack. Fuck. I should have cut it there anyway. €1,000 for 6. That's pretty good actually for a Keithley. Was that new? Did you get it on special, or is that the normal price? Oh, I think we just chomped into a few too many layers there, but that's okay. She'll be right, mate. No whacking furries. Micro. Oh my god, did I forget about micro? Oh no, I did. Oh, I'm in trouble now. Alright, I actually forgot about micro's injection. The alarm went off and I ignored it, but now I see why. Yeah, that's very bad of me. Okay, so Micro has missed out on his injection, and now it has been an hour and a half since he was supposed to have his injection. And I can't really actually give it to him now. I have to wait till tomorrow 10:30 to give him the normal shot. You can't really... You can, but apparently it's not overly advised to give them the shot if you missed it by that sort of margin. So that's actually very bad of me. It's not the worst sort of thing, but it's not great either, so it's definitely not a good thing. It's not something you want to do on a regular basis. I don't know, Trady, I'm not sure if I can... Maybe South Africans can teach it. You should have South Africans out in your area. They'll teach you far worse than I ever say. I'm very subtle when it comes to my South African swearing. Anyway, that's put a damper on things for me, knowing that I stuffed that up. Yeah, normally, if an animal is in your care, or if anyone's in your care, then it's your responsibility to ensure you provide that care. And I did not. Yeah, we're human, but it doesn't really matter. It's, like I said, it's his health, and he can't give it to himself, obviously. So he's depending on me to make sure that he's kept in good condition. I mean, look, the upside, fortunately, with cats is that they do actually have a surprisingly robust system, and it is known for them to put their diabetes into remission. But it's not going to happen if I do stuff-ups like that. Stephen, basically cats are given a twice-a-day injection, and in Micro's case he's on 3 units twice a day. $12 apart. And they regulate as long as he gets the insulin, they regulate pretty good. Yeah, it's a little shonky. Hey, Noosa. What happened to it? What I did there is, because there's only a small amount of flux, if you heat up the board and then you just dab the board with an alcohol-soaked earbud like that, it does a pretty good job of picking up any of the flux that's in there and leaves the area of question nice and fixed up. Let's see, we need UV cure now. Whew, jeez, that smells exciting in that glue container. Every time I open up that glue container, I think life could have gone so many different ways. Alright, that's good. Surprised it doesn't really show off the UV. Anyway, there you go, you can see the UV. The counter is simply counting up to 60 seconds. Good old upside down cakes. Used to have pineapple upside down cake. So basically it was a sponge cake with a pineapple base. It was surprisingly good. Okay. Noosa, I don't know, but I prefer it over a pen, that's for sure. Because all I've got to do is just place it, and that's it. Place it, press a button, and wait. Alright, so now we can actually try and program. Okay, the little LED is on, therefore everything works perfect. It's just some random jazz. YouTube has heaps of random jazz channels. It's like Sunday morning jazz, even though it's Monday morning technically here now. Okay, let's go schematics. Of course, every frickin' time. You got the wrong goddamn port. You're trying to talk to my... Yeah, I get it. Right. Multimeter is now screwed up. USB naught. Okay, that's done. Let's turn on the lighting. I've got to turn... For some reason my Neem studio light has to be told to come back on, like I've actually got to use the controller, turn it back on, whereas my small rig comes on automatically. It's like it remembers that I want it to turn on. Arnold G, what was your history trick that you learned? That you could grep the history or something else? If I was a real history nerd, I would have actually put exclamation and then the number. But for some reason I cut paste it. But yeah, like the proper way you should do it. I don't know why I actually did it that way. But let's see if we go... Yeah, so whatever that number is there, you can invoke that command just by putting like that. That's what I should have done. Just put the exclamation in front and then whatever the history number is. But no, instead I cut paste it like a moron. Alright, let's see how this goes. I think this will be upside down. I never remember. Okay, that's good. Steal some cables here. Okay, now this should give us 5 volts and a couple of milliamps. There we go. And it's interesting that this actually makes it that it looks like the current is coming back up into there. Obviously it's not. Well, it is, but who knows. What events causes the recording of your USB connections? Reordering. Oh, random luck. Or bad luck, rather. Alright, so this is charging my phone. And as you can see, the chevrons are pointing right to left to right. So disconnect it. Let's see. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Let's see if the USB-C meter works. Alright, it does seem to detect it. You can see it up there. Gotta get used to this backwards crap. Let's see, and now we need a victim laptop. There we go. My personal laptop, which obviously does not use a lightning cable. Yeah, all working. Why don't you have a PCIe USB 3 adapter and second controller? Most because I'm running everything out of a 10 port, really cool 10 port, low noise protected hub and everything like that. It's just, with Linux at least, you have to find ways around the fact that you never really know what USB port you're going to end up with in terms of like your TTY. So you have to really build the detection into the data communication protocol. So the firmware puts out obviously the data in a certain format, and then the software on the screen looks for that format, and if it can't find that format, it just assumes that it's not for it. The other thing I do is that I make the on-screen display lock the port, so when I have other devices going through scanning the ports, they'll know that obviously a locked port is not for them. Alright, that's... Hey dog, I'm just leaving. Yeah, 22 past midnight. Time for me to pack it in. I've got to get up at about 6:30 because the fencing guy's coming in. That's not a big problem. I'll go back to sleep. Oh, I just realised we need to shrink wrap this. Better do that first. Got to shrink wrap it, else it's not a wrap. The other thing we have to do is put double-sided tape on there. Very, very professional method of mounting. That should about do it. Yeah. Completely imbalanced. Drive the OCD is insane. What legitimately does drive you insane, this is how difficult it is to get that backing paper off. And yeah, I've got to peel it. Oh god, those tweezers look hideous. Right, the next hilariously frustrating part is getting this to sit down in just the right place. That should do it. Yep, right under there. Okay, now we've got to peel it. This will make Caradog cringe and cry. Hey, you can see it there. Probably should use a knife. And then the shrink wrap. Yeah, where'd that roll of shrink wrap go? Seriously, where did it go? Oh, there it is. There's really no point trying to get perfect with this stuff. It's like Shrinky Dinks. It will do what it wants to do, no matter what you try. Best you can do is hope and pray. This is about the only time thoughts and prayers might be useful. Actually, I just realised I really need to shrink it from the backside. Yeah, that's effed. Skipped it a little bit too much. I really should do that again. Yeah, it's not the same as your normal cabling heat shrink, that, you know, softer stuff. This is more like the stuff you get around the top of bottle wraps and things like that. Hey Greg. But as you can see, it has a massive sort of cut in there. So if you're going to do this sort of shrinking, you kind of don't want to have rounded corners. Or you're going to have to just accept that you're going to have this stuff. If you don't have rounded corners, then you can at least maybe catch it on the points. But it protects the LCD. That's what matters. So we'll just fire it up. And there we go. So that's it. Built, fixed and done. And this is what I really like about these LCD panels, is that it's so clear. Like your lighting, with those OLED ones, you have such a difficult time trying to see them. Even the big ones I find can be difficult to read. I've noticed that they have started bringing out the really big chunky ones. I'm trying to find one of them. Is this one of them? It's a USB-A. I almost actually never developed this meter because I found these, and these are almost perfect, almost. Except that they're unidirectional only, they only go one way, and there's no PC connection, so I can't record the data. But aside from that, these are actually pretty good, but yeah, they won't accept current going the other way, they'll only take one way, which is a bit of a shame, but that's okay. Put standoffs on the top hole and get a tilt display. What I'm thinking of doing in NusaCat was actually getting a nice chunk of rosewood or something and have it at an angle. You obviously can't see it, but I'd be able to read it clearly. Have it at a nice little angle, big chunk of rosewood, make it look really nice, and it'll be heavy on the desk so that it won't drift around too much. Rodrigo, these are just 8x2 COG ones. I'll get the URL for you. And display, forget the company that makes, well, East Rising is where I got mine from originally. There we go. Try that. And the nice thing is they're very simple. Yeah, they're just I2C. Programming them can be a little bit fickle, but just in terms of timing to get them to initialize. But once you get over that, then they're a nice display. Unfortunately, they don't seem to have a 16x2 display with the same cable width. I don't know why. Because this one, it's got 8 leads. It's easy. Anyway, but yeah, that's where I get them from. Would you also do code? No, I'll actually leave that for someone else. Someone can do a 3D version, 3D print edition or something like that. That's why I've kind of left it as simple as I can. It's got the 4 mounting holes. That's plenty. You can do something with that, or you can just be like me and be a complete heathen and just have it shrink wrapped. And at least it's easy to access if you need to. You just cut the shrink wrap and get access to the parts if you have to. Rodrigo, no, these are just character displays, these ones. You can get a graphics version of them, 128 by 64 or whatever. But no, I prefer the character versions only. Less work. So, alright, that's it for me. I'm out of here. Thanks all for watching. We had a pretty successful night overall. I might see you tomorrow, depends what turns up in the mail. I'll probably be exhausted anyway because I've got all the fencing situation to work with. So, thanks again. I'll see you next time.